Test, test. Test, test, just testing sound. If anyone was watching, please let me know. Perfect. You can give a few minutes for people to join. Um, Sent the wrong link. Have my cup of coffee. Oh, did I put voice chat? Thank you. It doesn't realize. I think I fixed it, right? How's it going? I see someone's stepped into the room. Thanks for joining. Uh, just kind of like a brief overview of what this is going to be. So I wanted to have a AMA because I know it's been some time since I've logged in and been super active with AV. Um, I have still been making calls and I've been posting research, but it's definitely not been as much as I used to, and I'm trying to get back onto that. So for those who haven't heard from me in a little while, or non-members, and you probably don't see a lot of information because I post most of my stuff in the membership section. Yeah, so this is the time to kind of get your questions answered, or we could just have fun and we'll talk about the markets. I have plenty to say, and I have been doing a lot of stuff in the background. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to use the chat feature to ask your question. Normally, I do these on the voice chat, but I'm trying to establish more of a presence on YouTube, get my name out there a little bit more. So, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post it there, or post in public chat, which I'm showing right here in our Discord. Yeah, so kind of, I'll give a brief overview of what I've been doing, and you feel free to stop me whenever, or if you want to chime in, feel free to. So, there have been a few projects that I've been interested in, a few things that I've been doing in DeFi that I think if you've been following along with my trades and my just in general updates, or like doing farming airdrops, you probably have done pretty well for yourself. For example, somewhat recently we started focusing on the Arbitrum airdrop. So first of all, wow, this is quite a surprise to me. I guess Sphere Finance is up 20%. This is the second time I think in a month that we've had a huge rise in price. I will have to look into that today. If you're unfamiliar with Sphere, because I think it's you chase walking, it's watching. It's a project on the Polygon blockchain. It's a protocol where you can essentially you buy the token. They are like the S&P 500 of Polygon, meaning that they provide a lot of services, and that they are one of the biggest. To be honest, they have a lot of TVL. They are one of the more notable protocols on that blockchain. And I've been bullish for quite a while. If you don't remember, we actually had 100x on this project when it first launched. Um, the chart here may not accurately reflect that because we did get into the private sale. And that's where you get those really great returns, remember? But lately, I've been talking about how I believe we've reached a local bottom, and that was around the 0.002 uh, mark, and you will see that actually in the guide that I posted regarding the arbitrage airdrop. But essentially, I'm saying that it's a pretty decent time to buy. You know, we're way down from launch price, which is something I like to hear and I like to see regarding, you know, projects that actually have real potential, that have real utility. So as you can see, again here, 20% gain on the day so far, which is really solid. But these are also the other projects that I mentioned that you could buy. I think Adam, from our price, our entry, we're up probably something like 30%. Um, I think I mentioned it around the $10 mark. It's somewhere in early December. Yeah, so just that by itself, we're up about 20%. It's surprising me is, you know, with the market, but you know, things have turned relatively bullish. MATIC was another token. It's another favorite of mine that I suggested around the same time. And again, we're up something like, I don't know, like 10, 15%. Cake not doing as well as the other tokens, but it's still a long-term project that I like. This is a Binance Smart Chain token. It's a decentralized exchange or a DEX token. Um, I watched a video on it that really kind of changed my opinion on it. I used to actually own a lot of cake, and this was when I first started DeFi, and I was farming it. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was seeing things like 50 to 70% APR, and I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing. I would love to have that kind of return. And the price has been going up. Why not? And this was probably it's probably around like this time, right? Almost at the peak. Luckily, you know, I got out of that, you know, that idea that it would keep going up, and I was like, hey, let me take small profits. I think I might have taken a small loss on it, but you know, acknowledging that maybe, you know, it was a high at the time, that was a huge thing for me. It was a miracle, right? But now we're starting to see the value in having cake, essentially because if you don't know how these tokens operate, essentially they get a dividend of sorts, um, based on how much activity happens on this decentralized exchange. So I'll show you really quickly what this looks like since it's a small group today, at least for now. It gives us a chance to kind of really deep dive into these projects. So we have PancakeSwap here, which is, again, you could swap, you could provide liquidity, you can do things like farming, and then they also have like a little gaming, which is kind of like a little like a casino, and of course they have their NFTs, which are their own conversation. But this is the top decentralized exchange on Binance, which is a huge regarding like TVL, it's huge, right? So let me quickly see if okay, cool. This will probably just be like an overview of what's been going on. Yeah, so you can do a lot of trades on this kind of thing. And essentially, if you own the cake token, you get dividends. You can single stake them, the tokens, right? Cake, and you get a APY on it or an APR. And for this, for right now, what I'm doing actually, I'm doing the max or the 52-week stake, essentially giving me the best APR possible. So I am more long term with this investment. Again, right? A year at least. We'll see where we are during that time. But it's very possible we might see the $5 range. I don't think it's too horrible to think that, right? Like we reached that in October, you know, when things were still pretty bearish. Now that they are burning tokens and it's deflationary, I think it definitely is there's potential for growth here. So I'm betting, and we'll see how that ends up in a year. I'll definitely keep you guys updated. GMX is also a token that I wish I would have gotten into earlier, but I did mention getting into it around the $45 mark. So we're about the same area, but I am pretty bullish, medium term at least, on this project, especially because it's on Arbitrum. Uh, Again, I touched on Arbitrum before. It's a blockchain, a layer 2 blockchain on Ethereum that already has a ton of volume on there, ton of liquidity, but the main opportunity right now is farming their airdrop, which, if you don't know what an airdrop is, it's essentially free money. These protocols, again, they want to incentivize people to participate on their blockchain, right? Because they want to be the source, or like they want to be the place to engage in DeFi, right? So Arbitrum, it had a few tasks, a few things to incentivize people to participate. And now what we are waiting to see is, are they going to reward us? Are they going to keep us interested? Um, right now, they seem to be, they haven't really released a lot of information, but we do expect some sort of news in 2023. And for me, I hope we see that early 2023. I see another person joined. Feel free to ask any questions. This is kind of like an AMA, but we're going to be doing some deep dives into projects and kind of going over what I've been up to, right? Because I've been out of AV, or not out of, but I haven't really been posting as much as I used to. So yeah, we really deep dived into the Arbitrum airdrop. I could talk about these projects, for their own video, right? And maybe I should, maybe I will, right? Besides that, we were into a few other projects. Most notably, we were into Daylight and this project called Momentum Finance. We already exited the Momentum Finance position, and we actually exited with profit twice. The first time was, I think it was around, we essentially made something like a, a 20% return, and then the second time was a 30% return. And we timed it perfectly. We exited at the, I think it was like the 55 or 46 cent. And that was before obviously the huge drop. Now, this was expected. I told you guys about this. I told you, hey, 30 days from now, these rewards are not going to be being paid out. People are going to sell their token. There's not enough demand, right? And so if you listened to me, you would have taken profit, and you would have made in total. If you just rolled over your first profit to the second, you probably made something like a 50% ish. So pretty solid for me, right? We're not really getting a lot of those 4x, 10x recently, just because the volume is just not there. But we're getting there. We're still making money. Another thing I want to talk about is Solana. I mentioned people to buy in at like the $12 mark. And as you can see here, it's really been on its air. Actually, not 12. I think it was actually 10. Um, Essentially, we were kind of bouncing between the 10 and 11 range for quite some time. Everything was going wrong with FTX, but then I did mention, hey, like DGods is moving over. That's pretty bearish, but then you have this new bonk token that was a huge event in the space, and I tried my best to keep you guys updated on what was going on. But essentially, Solana had a revival, um, simply because of this bonk token and the tokens relating to them. If you don't know what it is, and of course, whenever we talk about tokens like this, we have to remind ourselves that in the space of DeFi, there are a ton of scams, there are a ton of memes. Like, the culture is just degeneracy for a lot of the market, right? There's definitely smart money, right? And those are the people like farming airdrops, and those are the people engaging in DeFi, and like they know what they're doing. They know how to do the calculations. They've done the research into how to maximize their returns. And then we also have the swing traders. We have the degens, right? So this is on the side of the degens and the swing traders. And Bonk essentially is this token. It's a meme coin again. And we'll just quickly look at the price chart. I told you guys it was going to go to zero. There was no way this was going to sustain this kind of growth. And I think even now, shorting it would not be a terrible idea. I think there are some marketplaces you can short it, um, but maybe you could look into that. But essentially, this token came out. Just to summarize it, they were like, "Hey, one of the big projects, one of the reasons people are still on Solana are leaving for Polygon, and that project, that organization was known as DGods. And rumor is, Polygon paid them to move blockchains. They sometimes offer incentives like that, right? Because again, every blockchain to some extent they compete, right? So DGods leaving. left an entry for a potential hole that something could fill, right? So they were looking for that next thing, and Bonk came in, and they were essentially like, "Hey, we're gonna airdrop you guys a ton of tokens if you are an active member of Solana." And how best to represent that? Well, actually, if you own one of the NFTs that are most notable on Solana, right? So um, I believe that was like Monkey Business, that was DGen Coin Flip, projects like that. Um, just whatever. If you go onto Magic Eden and you look at the top collections, let's see, like, okay, obviously DGods was a top collection. They're still there. They haven't migrated yet, but they had things like probably OK Bears. I'm not entirely sure which projects got the airdrop, but it was essentially top 10 projects, right? Solana Monkey Business definitely did get it. DGen Fat Cats or the DGen Coin Flip, they got some sort of airdrop. Um, yeah, and so like that started a revival in the community, something that Solana desperately needed at the time, right? Because people in crypto, especially in the degen swing trading space, right? It's very emotional. That's what the swing traders are taking advantage of. They're like waiting for some hype to come, and they're aware of the meta. They're aware of like what's going on, how the essential how the market, how the degens will respond, and they're just buying before that action takes place. Um, I did not expect it to get as high as it did. I don't think anyone did. Um, but I didn't want to get into it further just because, yeah, man, this is probably just gonna tank. And you could have probably made a decently profitable trade if you were like really paying attention, day to day. Uh, but I didn't get the airdrop. I wasn't going to risk that, but I did want to make people aware of the situation, how this like how emotions drive or how sentiment drives the price action of these kinds of cryptos, right? Like meme coins. We saw the same thing with Dogecoin. We saw the same euphoria with Shiba Inu. So if you're knowledgeable about different blockchains, and I actually had an AMA recently about commentary surrounding blockchains. If you know what blockchains, what kind of investors are involved with those. If you know what they think, what they're looking for from the space, you can take advantage of that. And so I know that might sound a little bit confusing, but if you try to break down what kind of money is in each blockchain, you'll already know. You'll be a step ahead, right? Because you'll know what opportunities are really going to take off, what's going to start that hype on Twitter, on YouTube and things like that. Again, this is the side of like swing trading, and this is what I primarily do. I do a lot of swing trades, right? Of course, there's value in being a fundamentalist and knowing you could be a long-term believer of Bitcoin or whatever, but in this community, I still do that. I still do DCA, into certain coins, some of the top 10 coins. But if you're looking for those, immediate results, the thing that people come to crypto for, you're looking for, the alpha, and that's what Alpha Ventures is for, right? We want to be a think tank. We want to know what's gonna start the next pump for certain coins. We want to obviously be as safe as possible in doing so, but we acknowledge that Alpha Ventures, I mean, sorry, that crypto is a game, right? And we're trying to win. So if you're new to this community, make sure that you understand that. That's what we are. That's what we represent. We don't we don't like I'm not going to talk bad about other communities, but I will say that a lot of other communities, they're just out there to get your money. They will shill you whatever just because it's some sort of sponsorship, and they won't preface it because whether it's a requirement or not, they don't want to let you know that they were paid for it or something like that. That's something different in AV. If it is a sponsorship, like I literally tell you, hey, this is a sponsorship. Like we're having an AMA here. Like even for example, whenever we do have sponsored content, I post it in this channel, or in that, so you know that it is a sponsored thing. But I do, of course, let you know if I genuinely think it's a good opportunity. When other projects approach us and they want to do AMAs, they might, be like, hey, we're rewarding, the next 10 buyers, or like if you join through this link, we'll give you an extra, blah blah blah. And I'll let you know that that's the case, but I will also, preface with that, and I will say, hey, like you can buy into this. Here's what the math says. Here's what I think will happen with the charts. Um, Investing in the DeFi space can be a little bit complicated. You have things like buy and sell taxes. You have things like locked periods. You have things like vesting. So those are all things you have to consider whenever you invest into something, and that's what I hope to bring forward with you guys and talk with you guys about, because things are not as straightforward, especially when you have a project approaching us. They're obviously trying to sell us something, right? And it's up to us to have those conversations. Obviously, it's a huge benefit that we have projects coming here to explain themselves, what they can provide to us, but it's up to us to work together to determine if we want to invest, right? So I hope to spark that fire in us again coming into the new year. I have a lot more time to do that now. I will be transparent that towards the end of last year and somewhat towards the beginning of this year, I was involved with building a few software projects as well as working with other communities, providing consulting services. Um, but now it's time to bring it back to where it all started and to bring the most alpha to Alpha Ventures, because this is my community and I want to make sure that the members of it are getting the most values they possibly can. Um, because ultimately, this is the place where you will find uh, just everything from that I can give you, right? And whether that's a research paper, whether that's a write up, whether that's a signal or not, like that's the value that you're going to get. And just as like a really quick, um, and I'll actually share the link to my server in the description for those watching later. But essentially, we have server subscriptions that are super easy to do now in Discord. So there's like three different tiers right now because it is a little bit of a slower market. I do have a 50% off membership called Alpha. That's $20 a month, which is, if you're just listening to this and you're seeing, we're getting 30 to 50% returns on single trades, $20 a month is definitely worth it. But of course, normally the price is $40, but again, we have a little bit of a sale right now. And then we have a supporter, which is just, you just want to support me, you want to pay for a coffee, one time a month or something like that. It just keeps me, interested, because, you hear the cliche, right? If traders are so successful, like, why are they charging for, why do they want to, get $20 or like $5? And like, that's very true. And this is actually something that I was really thinking of towards the end of the year last year. Um, why am I sharing this information? Because as I mentioned earlier, right, crypto is a game, and in games you have competitions, right? And if you have alpha, if you have knowledge, if you have wisdom or whatever you want to call it, that allows you to be a better trader than most, you should give that some sort of value, right? So that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to I honestly want to help everyone out because I love teaching. That's something that I've loved to do since I was probably like, I don't know, 13 or something. I used to teach guitar. I used to teach French. I used to teach so many things, and I love to teach about finance and in this realm, right, crypto and DeFi, because it's something I'm genuinely interested in, and I definitely want to share, and it just makes it more fun. But at the same time, if I'm gonna be coming in here, multiple hours of every week, and at least once a day, you know, that little incentive, it might just help me. So that's pretty much that. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to talk about today? Um, yeah, expect some changes to the server. I've been listening to some of the things that people have been saying about how it's organized. I am aware that there is quite a lot in our server. It can be intimidating. Um, and that's just because, I wanted to optimize our server for everything, right? But what I've come to realize is that there are a certain type of people that this community will draw, and it will be people who are serious about making money in crypto and are honestly are just tired of all the bullshit from other communities. Like, I honestly don't engage with a lot of other communities because there's just so much fluff, right? And like, if you even look at just like our free section, our free discussions, like we have real conversations, like dedicated conversations to trades that provide valuable information. Like, for example, this discussion on Solana Bonk and blockchain commentary, This is literally where I described what I mentioned earlier about why bonk results in what it is, why I think it happened, and also, the commentary surrounding certain blockchains. Like, this is super powerful. This actually is useful, right? And then obviously you have a chance to ask me questions or chime in on the conversation. That's the whole point of this whole server, right? For us to make the best of the information that we have. So I definitely recommend reading our past posts. Right now we have an Alpha of the Week post, and that's kind of like a general, hey, you have some information that you want to share with us, post it here, right? We also have something like Sphere Finance, Real Yield. Uh, I show you a diagram. I tell you why you might want to buy some Sphere. And as you can see now, right, up 20% on the day. Super huge benefit. Had a conversation about taxes. This might not seem as obvious to some people, but like, you can use tax loss harvesting regarding crypto. It's super powerful. And for example, I saved something like 10K in taxes just because I was aware of all the tax uh, code in the US at least. And of course, there's been past discussions, and anyone can make a discussion. So I definitely urge you, if there's a topic you want to learn or discuss more about, feel free to use that, um, and just start the discussion. And if it's really interesting, I'll tag people, I'll get people interested, and yeah, that's pretty much that. I will probably be eliminating a lot of the redundant things, like for example, these channels. Obviously, information like airdrops and crypto DeFi news is very important. But again, it can be a little bit intimidating for a lot of people that are new to crypto. They don't really understand how these things will affect our individual trades or even the long-term, I guess, speculation on cryptos as well. And then you have other things that, we have a dedicated chill channel, suggestions channel, and just these things aren't being used as much. I want to still have things like levels and invites, and I want to reward people who bring people to this community. But obviously, the way that it's working right now isn't the way that makes sense. Also, if you've been confused about this, remember there's a server guide. A lot of communities have these. This explains exactly what the channels are, how to work with them, and then how you can get like a free week trial, or like how you can sign up for the membership. There's even a way to get free membership. If you don't know that, you can do it by invites or by levels. Super easy to invite 10 people. Um, Super easy to level up just by talking, right? So moving forward, I want to have the focus on participation and dedicated conversations, right? So those discussions. Um, yeah, I think I think that will be a good amount of information for today. There were a lot of wins. Probably the biggest win was Solana at 70% of a gain. And then there are a few projects that I am still interested in. Apollo from DAYL Finance just came out, and I'm actually keeping an eye on that. I think that there might be an opportunity there, but I want to ask a few questions before I give you guys that signal. But if you enjoyed watching this and you got some information, if you learned about what AV is actually about, now's the chance to get more involved. Like, there is real value. And if you just take, 5 minutes of your day to really understand what this server is, what this community is, and come to the AMAs, come to the lectures, like, you'll win in crypto. Like, I can't promise, right? Because in this space, you just can't do that. And of course, no financial advice with any of this kind of thing. Um, but I have, what's my success rate? It's probably a little bit higher than this at the moment. It's probably like 96.7. We've had over 150 trades over the course of maybe a year now. And the average return has been something like a 3 to 4x. So yeah, get involved. There's definitely reason to do that. And besides that, I'll end it here unless anyone has more questions. I know someone's still watching. So, again, this will be on YouTube later on. If there's something you wanted to listen to over again, or you have questions, um, you can always comment on this channel. Definitely leave me a comment if you like this content. And then I'm going to be starting to do more dedicated videos towards specific projects, trying to make it to 100 followers. So I'd appreciate if you shared this information or our community with your friends, right? People who are interested, people who are not scared of investing in crypto long term. A lot of bullish activity right now, but again, right now I'm still DCAing. I did recently buy some Ethereum and some other top coins, so doing pretty well. I'll let you guys know if I sell. Right now, I'm probably eyeing when Bitcoin reaches that 20K, um, and then I'll decide if I want to sell or not. But any questions? If not, I will end this. Make sure to leave a comment or even message me on public chat. Let me know what you thought about the stream if you don't have a question yet. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching and have a good day.